Yeah, he's gonna edit it.
All right.
Episode, what, 3?
3. We are so back with the technical difficulties. We just spent 2 hours trying to figure out our camera stuff. Oh, actually,
Over 2 hours.
2.5 hours.
It is 12:35. We got here at 10.
10 o'clock, and I'm already exhausted. I'm pissed.
Yeah.
Phil's pissed.
I was taking a nap on the couch.
Kevin was
Kevin was
sleeping.
doing nothing.
I'm old.
Kevin was distracting us.
Yeah.
He pulled Tyler in. Fucking. We got Kyle Cook here helping us out. Thank
Yeah,
God.
shout out Kyle. Again, thank you to everyone who's been subscribing, following us. Finally hit 500 on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
RIP.
Yeah, they're
Thanks.
shutting down TikTok in 2 days, but
Yeah, we
thanks
appreciate
for the subscribers.
I think we've been pretty consistent. I think we're like 4 and change on Instagram and Facebook. Facebook's maybe 300.
Yeah.
But,
No, we've
doing
been we're doing all right. So thank you to all the listeners out there, and go to the volleyhousepodcast.com to ask us questions, send in stories or videos you'd like us to review, and also give us a follow on all the social media platforms at Volley House Podcast. And we got the new.
We got apparel.
Oh, I left the sweatshirt and the T-shirt over there. That's all right, though.
Yep, we got the koozies. So if you guys want to give us some support there, that would be awesome.
And we're sending money to California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With whatever we raise.
I don't know how long we want to keep that up, but all proceeds to LA. It's the Los Angeles Fire Department Foundation. So
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah, and shout out to those guys out there
And ladies.
putting in the hours. Yep. Well, I'm just saying guys like
Guys and girls.
in
Whatever.
general.
Firefighters that are out there.
LA's a weird place.
Well,
Yeah.
listen, no matter what, firefighters in general, they're doing a great job. They're doing what they can. They got some really bad conditions, unfortunately. I don't want to get into semantics and Monday morning quarterback anything, but, think about the winds and the fire that they have there. It's just insane.
Yeah, I saw a ring video yesterday, like the winds and the embers, like huge embers just flying across the street, and definitely not those fires get scary quick.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that the one that was on Instagram or whatever? The woman's house didn't burn down, but you see the fire swirling up the hill, and then the embers are just doing like a circle on her back patio. It was insane.
I think that may have been the one I
It was insane.
was talking about.
She's
Yeah,
very lucky her house didn't burn down, but
yeah. No, it's I think it's their. Did they say it was the worst one in history?
I would have to say. I mean,
Right.
When was there? I know they in the last couple of years there have been fires, but nothing at the freaking capacity that this one's at.
yeah, the one in Hawaii was very similar too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
It's crazy stuff. I can imagine living there. Where did all those people go? All those residents.
Well, did you see when all the cars were on the street and they were using a bulldozer to push
Yeah,
them all
pushing
out of the
them down
way
the
just so they
street.
could get the fire apparatus
Crazy.
in? I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's hop into it.
We'll start with the first sponsor.
Yeah,
Or you
let's
wanna go
do.
right to,
we're gonna do Frontline Optics. All right,
Tyler's going to wear them at his wedding.
I am.
The wedding party. When we take the groomsmen pictures, we're all wearing Frontline Optics.
Am I part of that party?
No.
Oh, thanks. Awesome.
All right. So what makes
I
us
wasn't
different?
coming anyway.
We know that these shades are going to get beat up, which is why we offer a no questions asked replacement program to cover your lost or damaged sunglasses. When the time comes to get yours replaced, all you need to do is cover a $12 service fee and we'll ship a brand new pair to your door, no questions asked. Additionally, a portion of all sales is donated to the First Responders Children's Foundation, supporting the loved ones left behind by our brothers and sisters who give the ultimate sacrifice in service to their communities. All our glasses are polarized, and we offer free shipping and returns so you can try them out risk-free. Not enough? We have both Z87 and prescription styles available. Check us out at frontlineoptics.com or Instagram at frontlineoptics. Use discount code VHP15 for 15% off. Again, that is VHP15 for 15% off.
Pretty cool when we get our own codes.
I love that.
Yeah.
House podcast code.
You know what's funny? Tyler's been texting VHP. I'm like, what the fuck is a VHP?
Yeah.
I'm seeing these texts. He's like, yo, for VHP we should do this. I'm like, what the fuck is VHP?
Yeah. So
That's going to be the next thing on your shirt, VHP.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to make it happen. Trying to make the abbreviation. So this is gonna sponsor. I got my Frontline Optics shades on for our segment, Suspended or Not.
Oh, we're going back to it again.
You ready
Here
for
we go.
this one, Kev?
I'm going to bring my own in next week,
I love it.
just for the heck of it.
And again, go to volleyhousepodcast.com if you want to send us in some of your favorite Firehouse shenanigans. All right, so this segment will break down Firehouse pranks and shenanigans and ask Kevin from a Chiefs or Commissioner's perspective if it's worthy of a suspension or not. Are you ready?
All right, let's do it.
All right. After the Christmas parade, we were taking decorations off the truck. One of our members used the leftover duct tape to draw a penis on the top of the rig, but forgot about it when we were done. The next day was the Christmas party where the fire truck drives Santa around the firehouse
Oh, Lord.
for the spectators on the second floor to see. The truck that was supposed to be used for this had an issue, so they wound up using the truck with the duct tape penis on the top, which resulted in the whole party seeing it. Suspended or not?
True story, by the way.
True story.
You guys got some real issues.
I didn't say it was me.
Why do I feel it's always you guys?
I don't know.
10, 15 years in the department, you got all these problems already?
No problems. Just fun.
Suspended or
yeah.
not. Let's see. So, in a way, it's detrimental, right? And that's a response vehicle? Like you go out and runs with it?
Yep.
On a normal basis?
It was
Is it like first due, second due?
it was second due at the time that this happened, but I believe it was the brakes failed on first due, or they like weren't working, so they wound up hopping to the second due that had this dick on the top of it.
Schwanz.
Yeah, Schwann's. And
So wait, somebody forgot that they put it on there? Is that,
yeah, what
is that you're
happened?
getting at? Or they did it on purpose to
They-
strictly...
No. They were joking around, put the duct tape on top of the truck, and then they got off because we were taking all the decorations off, and they just completely forgot about it. And
It's a
yeah.
mistake, basically.
yeah, it was a mistake.
And you know who did it? Like they knew who did it, or like how did...
I mean,
Like with any of this stuff, you have to confirm. You know, you got to be able to say.
so I at the time was a lieutenant, and got a phone call from a very angry chief the next morning. Got screamed at, and I had no idea what had happened. Like
Well,
zero.
Screaming's never good.
Yeah, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then the other chief called me, told me what happened. So I called my guys. I'm like, anybody know about this? And one of the guys fessed up to it. Hey, that's my bad. I was just
You know,
doing
at
a
least you owned
joke.
up to it. That's a good
Yeah,
thing.
and he actually wound up calling the chief himself and saying, "Hey,
Apologize.
yeah, that was me. I'm sorry. It was a joke at first, and I think he threw his back out and like went home, and just forgot to tell
I got
us.
you.
Honest
Okay.
mistake,
All right.
but still hilarious.
It's funny. Once again, we get back to, does it discredit the department? Does it look bad? Stuff like that. Obviously, this is a rig that could have been out on the road that somebody could have seen, not just people in the fire department.
PD helicopter going over. Which unit am I looking for?
The one with the
that
big
you
penis
got,
on,
yeah.
on the top,
Or they were saying like a news helicopter like filming a
Yeah.
scene. You just see
Yeah,
this
that would be
like
ugly.
giant. Oh, that would be fantastic.
Well,
What
at
are they?
least
Are they gonna?
it didn't get to that point, which
No,
is good.
it
So,
didn't. It didn't.
I'd say
That
let's
probably
see.
would have stayed there had they not
If they
seen
didn't
it
see
through
it.
that window.
That's
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Which is even more.
Yeah, how many
hilarious.
times? Think about it. How many times you watch the roof of the rig,
Yeah.
or get up on the top of the rig where you're looking at
Yeah.
it?
So
Somebody
often
gets
you
up there,
see
they're
it.
like, "Whoa!"
Unless you're using a deck gun or you're packing hose,
But
like
not even. It was on the cab.
Yeah, it was on the
So the
top
pump
of
panel
the
you're
cab.
facing this way. It was up here.
yeah, but you still might see
Yeah, you
it.
might
Like
turn around,
I
yeah.
mean, but it'd probably be slim to none on a second due rig. And
Yeah. But yeah, how often do you see the roof of
yeah.
the rig?
So all right, to move this forward, I would say maybe a verbal or written reprimand, maybe not a suspension. I mean, I think people would, like we said last time, I think most people veer towards suspension You don't want to lose a responder and stuff like that. It was a stupid, idiotic thing to do. It sounds like they didn't really mean to do it on purpose to offend anybody at the Christmas party. It was just kind of screwing around.
You want me to just give you one?
I'm assuming
One
the
little-
person was suspended, but
They were, but what's funnier is that it was the children's Christmas party.
oh god,
so is the parents
oh my God.
that saw this thing driving by. Santa's waving.
They're shielding the kid's
Yeah.
eyes. Just goes, don't look at
And
Santa.
they're like, what the hell is that? Is that a rocket ship? Nope, that's
no, it's a
penis.
rocket ship. It's a rocket ship.
Somebody's.
Yeah. All right.
my
So
goodness.
no suspension on that. From your point of view, maybe just a quick reprimand.
Yeah, maybe like a written warning, and I mean, like I said, maybe as I get older, I'm getting a little softer. I don't know, I mean, I've seen a lot of stupid, crazy stuff over time, but like I don't want to lose people, and right now we're in the age of volunteerism is down, people responding is down. Like we're having trouble getting rigs on the road, and it's like now I lose another person. So maybe we go back to like we were talking about, social type of probation or something like that. Maybe maybe a community work where they got to do stuff.
What about prime 33-year-old Kevin, city fireman, and this happens? How's your response then?
I don't know. I like I said, I don't know. It's
Chief of department, squad 270,
Yeah.
coming
oh
in hot.
boy, he's making fun of me now.
Scenario number 2. We stole another company's mascot and took pictures with it at parties.
I like it.
When we realized that they were getting angry, we bought replicas of the mascot and sent them videos of us dropping it from 100 feet up in the ladder truck and running it over with the car. Suspended or not?
No suspension.
No suspension, just
No
good old firehouse antics.
So I know people are gonna love to hear this one. So years ago, and I'm going way, 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 way back to the beginning. I had a Gumby doll. I liked Gumby. Do you know Gumby?
Yeah, no,
Gumby, damn it. So I had a Gumby doll, and the guy stole it from me, and they took it on vacation. It's been to more places than probably I have, and they so I can understand the whole mascot thing where you take somebody's. I was pissed.
Wait, was it just like your Gumby doll,
Yeah,
or
it was
what?
like I had a
Like you
Gumby. Like a
carried it around with you, like
just on a
this is my Gumby.
Yeah, my Gumby. I love Gumby, damn it. It was just a funny thing, and the guys took it, and they were joking around with it. But yeah, but similar type of thing where guys were just messing with me,
Right.
and they knew it aggravated me, but I was a young kid.
That's the fun of it.
Yeah, that's the fun of it. I say no suspension. I think it's funny, but
I'm gonna call you Gumby from now on. I think.
Gumby, damn it.
All right.
People don't know, now they're gonna know this about me.
You know what
but
that's reminding me of? And I don't know if there's any validity
I had a little
behind this.
rubber Gumby. You know what? I'm gonna bring one in. I have one at home somewhere.
But-
I'm gonna find it. And I'm gonna bring it in.
Messing with a plastic mascot, like that's harmless.
Yeah.
And especially because we had 5 of them. I remember that we.
Five of them?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
so it
bought-
wasn't
we
just the
bought-
only
So
mascot.
there
Alright.
was like there was the original, and then there was 5 more.
So wait,
all painted exactly
So
the same.
so here's the thing. It was a black sheep. That's what the company's mascot was, and we found replicas on Amazon of the sheep, but we had to paint them. We had to paint them black with the red eyes. And I'll never forget. We were
Do you remember
yeah
painting them in the
we were
pavilion?
painting them at the firehouse, and one of the chiefs walks up and sees us, and we had like stations. There was like 4 guys on each of these mascots painting them. And the chief walks up like, "Oh, hey, chief," and he just goes, "Goodbye." Turns around, hops in his car, and leaves. He knew exactly what we were up to.
That was so funny.
Yeah.
He just smiles. He's like, "Oh," I didn't see anything.
You get to the point, and you're captain now. You get to the point where you got to start deciding of when is a good time to leave
Yep.
as an officer or a chief. Like you want the members to have fun and do certain things, and without getting out of hand, like I said. But like certain times at parties and stuff, or as you're moving up, like it would get to a point where I'd be like, it's 10:30, things are starting to get a little crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you
You-
don't want to be there to witness certain things.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's good and bad, but you got to be careful of what you do.
I remember even like I think it was actually on probation, my lieutenant, we were all screwing around. This is when like our 2 companies, we were solid. Like we were there every night, always hanging out. and it just started to get to the point. I think we were playing with the smoke machine. Remember we used to play with the smoke machine in there, and we set the firehouse's alarms.
Yeah,
off.
the alarms.
And
Yep.
my lieutenant looks at me. He goes, "You go home right now." He's
Yep.
like, "You're on probation. Get out. You out." He's like, "Just leave." He's like,
Right.
"Best thing
Yeah.
you can do right now is leave."
Yeah.
This was actually before cameras.
And
too.
sometimes that needs to happen, and we look at it and say the senior members or the members that have been around a while should know how to handle the situation before it gets to the officer. In New York City, the senior man basically kind of runs the firehouse downstairs, and you hope they handle all the problems and not bring it to your office, because once it gets to the office, now we got a problem.
Right. Yeah.
And if it gets outside the four walls of the firehouse, we got a bigger problem. You know what I mean? So, like going back to the circles, and we're going to do the circles someday about, how we relate to people and chiefs and officers. Same idea, the senior members or the members of the house that have been around a long time, they understand how the house works, they understand how the people work. Let them do their job and let them handle the minor things before it gets to the officer. So that's why you got to sometimes, and you're a captain now,
Yeah.
you got to start thinking about that.
Look
It's
at
10:30 at
I'm
night.
the
It's time
captain
to
now.
Yeah.
it's time to hit the road, and
All right. So scenario number 3.
you got more.
Yeah. Just
I have
3.
one too that I'm internally giggling about. But this,
So
I can't stop-
save
can't
that.
stop thinking
Save
about
that.
it.
Save that one for last.
The mascot thing reminded me of it.
So, scenario number 3, we did the pepper pot challenge in the pavilion, which only has heat detectors. We put black pepper in a pot and cranked
burned
the
it?
stove all the way up, so it created a lot of pepper
Oh,
smoke.
that's ugly.
We sat in the building while the smoke banked down, and the last person to leave the building won. Suspended or not, a pavilion full of pepper smoke.
Did it set off the alarms?
Nope.
No suspension.
No suspension.
We've all done it. So
Just
for the
misuse
younger
of
firefighters
facilities.
that are listening and stuff like that, and I can't stress this enough. The way we were brought up, especially myself with over 30 years now, it was a lot different. We were taught by, people that were the Vietnam vets, by the firefighters that breathe smoke in every single day, and I'm saying it was probably some of the best training that I've ever, come across back in the day. These guys went to fires. They didn't have SCBAs or had SCBAs, but didn't wear them much because most of the stuff burning was natural materials. We're in a whole different age now. If you look around, even this room here, everything is plastic. Plastic water bottles, computers, chairs, tables. Everything is some sort of plastic. The TV's behind us. The smoke is seriously toxic. And we've breathed in a lot of this stuff over the years. And, unfortunately, we watch all these firefighters get sick and dying of cancer. And it's one of the top reasons firefighters die. Cardiovascular, heart attacks, and cancer, whether on the job or off the job, firefighters are dying of this stuff. And, pepper is just another thing. It's an irritant that's getting into our system, into our lungs, and we're trying to breathe it in and last in a room. And, I've seen it done in all different ways where, they lock people in rooms and throw a pan in and stuff like that. I've seen some crazy stuff, and I've done the pepper challenge.
I've actually never done that.
Oh, my God.
I've never done it.
It can be deadly.
It's tough, dude.
And if you put red pepper in it, it's even worse,
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
But black pepper in
Well,
a
just
pan and
imagine
let it
getting
burn.
red pepper in your eye, just like if it was on your finger, and you just like went like
It's
this.
absolutely terrible. It's like spraying pepper spray in your face. And if you've never had that done, I mean, and we say this on the podcast, don't try any of this stuff at home
Yeah.
or within your own department. Don't do this stuff because you may be suspended.
Yeah.
But we got to get to the point where we're cleaning our gear. Clean is the new salty, all this stuff. And, we have to take care of our health. We have to take care of our lungs, wear our SCBA as long as possible, and decon ourselves when we come out of fires. And I know we're on joking around here with suspension or not, but that pepper is very irritating to your lungs. Who knows what it's doing to you? So I would say in the future we probably shouldn't be doing that. But I'd say no suspension. Maybe, guys don't do that again kind of thing. But,
It's a misuse of facilities.
What do you got?
So the mascot reminded me of this. So the
Uh-oh.
mascots, one, we didn't actually destroy the real one. We would only run over or do whatever with the replicas. I don't know if this is true or not, and suspended or not. I think a company had like a fish and fish tank. Did someone kill one of the fish? I think
What?
someone went to the company and took the fish and killed the fish.
That's not cool. I
That's-
don't like anything with animals. I don't like. I would say suspended.
That's probably a suspension.
Yeah, don't kill people. Yeah.
That's just me.
It's like
I
a
think-
pet.
Yeah.
Did someone do? I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking that.
Maybe you dreamt it.
Yeah, maybe I dreamed.
That's
I was
full-on
dreaming about it.
suspension.
It's because he's got his hat on
Maybe
backwards.
I saw a fish and I wanted to kill it.
It's the backwards
You know,
hat
I
that's
did this
doing it.
because I felt like. I
What,
had
you want
some
people to
shade
see
on
your
my
face?
No, I'll switch it back. Also,
It's all
shades
good,
these
whatever.
lights.
Yeah.
It's all
I
good.
feel like I'm hiding.
Whatever
behind
you want
this.
to do.
All
I could
right.
Just let my freaking hair out.
Whoa, get a haircut, bro.
So
Do you have more, or is that it?
no, that was it.
Okay.
We keep that one usually just.
I'm going to have to bring some in
just
for
three.
next week.
Yeah, and like I said, anybody listening, send in your stuff. We would love to hear it. Let's get into our second ad, the Fire Store. In the world of firefighting and public safety, reliability is key. That's why for over 2 decades, first responders nationwide have trusted the Fire Store as their go-to source for top-tier equipment, apparel, and accessories. Featuring industry-leading brands like MSA Cairns for helmets, Streamlight for dependable flashlights, and Seek for cutting-edge thermal imaging cameras. The Fire Store equips you with the best tools to tackle any challenge. But it doesn't stop there. From EMS supplies to flame-resistant apparel and high-visibility gear, the Fire Store has everything you need to stay safe and prepared on the job. Partnered with the most trusted names in the industry, the Fire Store is committed to providing quality and innovation because when lives are on the line, there's no room for compromise. Join the thousands of first responders who rely on the Fire Store. Visit thefirestore.com, your reliable partner for fire and public safety equipment. All right. Job of the week.
Well, have you seen those Seek cameras at all? Have you tried them?
No.
The what?
Seek cameras?
Helmet cam?
No, they have full-size cameras, thermal imaging, and they have these little ones that you can wear, like personal ones. We bought them just recently. My department tried them out.
Personal thermal imaging cameras?
Yeah, they have a personal one. It's like little. You just hang it on your coat, and you can kind of, for self-awareness, situational awareness.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, the screen's like this big, and then they have the bigger ones. So we just bought those, and they're pretty cool. But they brought some to the Joey D seminar last year. They donated some to the Joey D Foundation, and we've been trying them out, and I've been using them on the rigs, but they're really cool. The quality is excellent.
Interesting.
Yeah, you
I have
should
to
check
check
'em
that out.
Yeah.
How is the display? Is it one almost like a phone, like you hold it up and you can look at what you're looking at and look
Yep.
at the screen?
Yep.
I like those. You ever see the ones that like you have to like look at the top and the lens is this way?
Yeah, it's like angled or whatever.
Yeah, those are like because then
Yeah.
you're like looking like this. Like
Well,
very
some of them are
confusing.
meant so that they look up towards the ceiling and stuff like that.
Oh, so you could more be like this.
Right. So you
looking
don't
here
have to
and then
look
shooting
up, so you look
Yeah.
down and it
Yeah.
shoots up, but,
Yeah.
it's all about the position. Like
Mhm.
sometimes just even taking the thermal imaging and putting it sideways, you can see a different view,
Yeah.
depending on the camera,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's an MSA or whatever. But,
Right, right.
but it's
So that's
it's
cool.
very
Very
interesting, the technology and how far we've come over time,
Mm-hmm.
because we didn't have these things back in the day. Now we can see through the smoke. And
Mm-hmm.
listen, it's not a cure-all. It's not the answer to everything. You still need to be able to search. I've had cameras fail on me while I'm searching.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And also the the guys getting tunnel vision with the cameras too.
yeah. And I hate to
Stick-
call it a camera because it's not taking a picture. And it's not really a video. It's an
like
image.
A lens.
It's an image that your brain is comprehending what that is. You got to look at it that way, because it picks up heat signatures. It doesn't really take a picture.
Right.
So you got
You're
to
thinking about it too much.
Yeah.
Maybe I do. Maybe I do. I don't know. Well, because think about this. So when you take a picture,
He's contacting these companies. You
Yeah.
really shouldn't
No,
call
no.
it a camera.
Change the name.
if you take a picture or you do video, what you see is actually what's there, right? For the most part. When you look in an imager, sometimes you can look through it and it looks like a doorway or a window, and it's not. It's just 2 pieces of wood on a wall or a picture frame,
Mm-hmm.
because it's just the heat signature. So it can fool you. It's not an actual picture. It is a camera, but it's not a camera, because you're trying to pick up that image.
Makes sense.
So it's like what's in your brain and saying, that's a doorway, that's a window. It might not be.
Right. I mean, obviously, when you're using those cameras, you still got to do everything else that you
Absolutely.
do with the search and whatnot, and not again go tunnel vision with those cameras where you think, hey, I got a clear picture. I'm just gonna keep this thing in front of my face, and I'm gonna go straight to the fire, even
Right.
though they have a lot of cool like designs and a lot of cool features on those things. Like that's one big thing that some people,
They
maybe
get tunnel vision.
yeah,
They
maybe
do.
maybe like somebody hopping up in the officer seat that just one of those things. They take the camera and they just use that the entire time,
Right.
and it's like that can actually work against you.
Yeah, well, you can get yourself deep into a building. If you're just using it to guide yourself through, now you get in there, let's say the battery fails or it breaks, and I've had it happen. And now what? Are you going to be able to find your way out? You might not.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, when we teach it, and you should definitely take a formal thermal imaging class, but, look around, see where everything is, find a point that you want to go to, and then put it down and search like a human being. It's a tool, like a Halligan. You use a Halligan when you need it. You don't use it all the time. And then search like a human being, pick it up again, take a look around, see what.
Or even
So you don't go to every doorway with a Halligan and just start freaking.
yeah, or even doing the
Doors open.
if you're the officer with the thermal camera, you're going through a building, you have your guys going to do a room search. You could post up at the doorway,
Take a look, watch them,
take a look, watch them.
point them in the right direction. if you need
Exactly.
to. Right.
And then, when they pop out, all right, now, boom, we're going to the next room. Same deal. Search this room. I got the door, thermal camera, keep an eye out for you, and so on and so forth.
Right.
I think that's probably one of the better ways to utilize that.
Right. You can lead people, or it can be,
We
you
put
watch
a
them,
we put a second
supervising.
thermal imaging camera in the back of the bucket, so the
Oh, for
guys who
roof
go on
ops?
the roof,
in the
Yeah.
bucket.
not
It's
in the bucket. It's in the
In
the
the
cab,
back, in
but
the
for the roof guy.
I got you.
And
cab.
I love using it from the top because you look down and you can see the hot spots. And
Yeah.
then go down and cut.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's nice having two because it's standard, for an officer.
I think more and more we're going to start to see. It's going to be like a radio. Everybody has a radio now. I think eventually everybody's going to have some sort of.
Yeah, it's so useful.
It's now that the technology's getting better, it's getting cheaper. These smaller ones, you can get personal thermal imager and put one on every person on the rig. And some
Those
people
ones
are
you
doing
mentioned, how do they compare to like a phone size? Is it
It's
like
about that size.
about that
Yeah.
size? Yeah.
I actually have one. I should bring it in one day, but
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
Maybe they can sponsor us.
Oh.
The Fire Store is sponsoring us. Maybe
Yes.
Seek can sponsor us, and we can
Yeah. Maybe even do a training vid on it.
little training video.
All right, job of the week.
Job of the week. I don't know.
Lot of
There's
stuff going
been
on.
A lot of fires around on Long Island.
Around
I
here,
think there was
just
like 30 something this week, right? It's
been a lot.
30 something.
Lindenhurst, North Lindenhurst, Ronkonkoma. I think had
yeah, well, for
two-
Long Island, and then just
CI.
the
in-
Ronkonkoma fire just recently was next door to where my aunt and my cousins lived.
oh
They
wow,
don't live there anymore, but it was like right next door.
yeah. Then just in general,
Terryville had another job.
they're rocking and rolling, huh?
Rocking it.
Man, what's crazy is on the Firewire app, the amount of vehicles into buildings or
There's a lot of it.
or off the one in Washington D.C. The truck that drove off the bridge.
New York City had one
Yeah,
yesterday.
was it the Bronx?
Yep.
Had the bus.
Mm-hmm.
I think they had two. Didn't they have an overturned bus in the Bronx, and then the one?
Not sure. They might have. I know I saw the one on the news. The
I saw
MTA
some
bus.
picture that they were cutting up like the barrier on the side of the road. See that one? I think it was a bus.
That was the MTA bus.
The MTA bus, yeah.
Where they're cutting the guardrail.
Yeah, cutting
Yeah.
the guardrail.
Yeah, and I think also on Firewire, I want to say it was Maryland. There was a bus into a building. So just a lot of that craziness going on.
Well, it's the temperatures dropped. I mean, today's like it feels like a heat wave. What is it? 40 degrees out.
Yeah,
It's like a
Yeah,
heat
it's
wave
warm.
out there.
and
Yeah,
we're
what is it?
we're
But space heaters, people using their ovens and stoves. It's all very dangerous, and
and then on top of that we
boilers and.
got a snowstorm on its way.
Well, we'll see.
I think it's going to be
They're
legit.
saying
What are we
I
getting?
mean-
2 to 4 here? That's
yeah,
what I
they're
saw.
saying 2 to 4. I mean, the North Shore is kind of, and Nassau County is kind of on the cusp, maybe 6 inches.
Mhm.
for those that live way upstate and the lake effect snows, this is like, every day to them.
Yeah.
But to us, it's like a big deal. And then
When-
down south is going to be getting some snow, which
When was
is
the last time we got slammed? Like 2 feet? Like,
Um,
26, 30 inches.
yeah, I don't remember
I
the
wanna
last
say-
time it really snowed.
I want to say like maybe 3 or 4 years ago we got a good snowstorm.
Well, I'm going to take the snowblower out of the shed today, so we shouldn't get any snow.
that's
Yeah,
all
yeah,
right.
That's
exactly.
usually the way it goes.
Go buy a new one.
Yeah.
But, as long as we're on that subject, for any volunteer department or any department that's out there, preparation is key. Don't wait till the last second. We usually wait until the last second. Oh, go fill all the rigs up, top them off, get the shovels out, get the salt out, all this stuff. You should have that way ahead of time. We're into the winter months. Everybody should be carrying some sort of salt on the rigs, because even on a cold day, there doesn't have to be snow. Like when I went to that Terryville job, there was a little bit of snow, but the road's instantly iced up just from the rigs leaking water, the hoses when we're taking them up. It gets slippery. We got to watch out for our members, front porches, because we're throwing water into a house. But, be cognizant, be prepared for the worst case scenario. Don't wait and say, it's going to be nothing, and then have a problem.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced, because I've only done so much driving in the snow, they say turn off the engine brakes when you're driving in the snow.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced any like slip
Yes.
from using that?
Yes, actually, if it's on high with the Jake brake, there's a good possibility
like
when it
that.
downshifts.
Right.
It's that initial downshift.
Mhm.
So, most people say put it in low or off.
Right.
The problem is, you got to drive a lot slower if that Jake brake's not on.
Yeah, that's like
Which
my
you
thought
should be doing
process.
anyway,
Yeah.
but you have to be cognizant of the conditions of the road. We have to get there. We talked about this before, accidents and stuff like that. You have to be able to get there to help people. But you got to be very cautious when we're looking at, conditions on the road, whether wet or snowy or icy, that Jake brake, could start to slow and give you a problem. But there are other people just say leave it on, just drive cautiously, be slow,
Yeah.
and you shouldn't have an issue.
Yeah, I've never personally experienced it. That's for you.
Yeah.
You've done a lot more driving than me.
Yeah, if it starts to go, you'll feel it. I mean, I've driven rigs where I stopped at a traffic light on like a hill, and the rig just starts slowly just sliding backwards, and you're like,
It's a worse feeling.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
I mean, when you have a 60,000-pound truck or more, and it just starts going, it's going. There is not much you're going to do.
I was just talking about that story the other day when we were going to an elevator rescue, and I was the officer. We're driving down a main road, snowy. The light is red. We're coming up to the light, and I look at my driver. I'm like, "You gonna hit the brakes?" He's like, "I'm fucking on them."
Oh,
And
yeah,
I
that's not
was
good.
like, "Oh shit!" But he
Yep.
was smart enough to just turn it into the grass and
Yep.
the divider, and that slowed
side of the road
yeah.
will help.
Yeah.
So, with any roadway, and you see it when you're driving your car, where the tires are, we're compacting it and turning it more into ice, And Long Island has more of an issue because we're so close to the water. We get a lot more ice here compared to, like, if you go upstate into the mountains and stuff like that. It's direct, cold snow all the time. So they have a little more grip compared to sometimes what we have. But, yes, once that starts getting slick, so if you come off of that and actually go in the regular snow or off the road a little bit, and you don't want to go off the road because you're going to possibly veer off, but get off the tracks and get into regular snow, you'll get a little more traction.
Right.
And a big question out there, like, do you guys have snow chains on for your rigs?
We
A lot of departments on Long Island don't.
yeah we
My
we
ladder is,
don't.
you don't.
I thought
I thought the engines did.
yeah the engines do.
Some have the automatic ones. Those,
yeah.
They like drop, right?
What are they?
Yeah, they drop me just.
A lot of the ambulances have them too, but I think it's the spots. We lost our screen.
Yeah.
The on spots, whatever, that automatically you can flip a switch and it spins and goes underneath the
Yeah,
tires
yeah,
as you go. But I don't see a lot on Long Island, and now the ambulance. Most people are buying 4-wheel drive ambulances now.
Yeah, I know for the ambulance calls, my department, we have the rack truck with the plow.
Yeah.
Any ambulance calls come through, ambulance just follows the rack truck with the plow.
We try to do the same. We
Yeah.
used to, if the volleys are around, they usually try to take the brush truck to go with the ambulance.
Yeah,
throw it
brush
out
truck.
if they need to. But nowadays we're starting to see, a lot of the mechanics or the maintenance people take a plow with them so they can clear the street and stuff like that.
Right.
But you got to be very careful. I had a boss in the Bronx, and he was great. He had like a little saying, in rain or sleet or snow, the squad will go slow. But when it's dry, the squad will fly. And I thought it was a very interesting concept, and it's sort of true. When it's wet or hazardous or snowy or icy, you have to slow down. You have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know it's a fire or people are trapped. We got to get there, but on the other side of that, you got to get there.
Right, yeah.
If we're off in the woods or in a ditch, we got a problem.
Right.
And, getting back to firefighter deaths, the number 2 cause of death is responding and returning or struck by vehicle accidents, rollovers, just regular accidents in general, or standing in the road and getting hit by a car going by you. So, we have to be cautious.
Right. All right, so whose job of the week?
I don't know. I wasn't really following. I was teaching hazmat all week.
That's right. You were upstate.
So I was up in Westchester County for their Proby class, which was really interesting, And I sit there and I look at the young firefighters, and I said it to them. I said, welcome to the best profession that you could ever have, because it truly is. You're going to interact with so many different people. Like, I would have never met you guys if it wasn't for the fire service.
Yeah.
So we meet a lot of great people, and we do a lot of great things. And I said, what I would give to be a lot younger and be in your seat instead of standing up here in front of you. They're like, wow, everybody says the same thing. I'm like, this is a great experience that you're about to embark on. And whether it's paid, volunteer, or whatever, it's one of the best experiences that you'll ever come across.
This is the only job that you'll hear people say, this is the best job on the planet. You don't hear anyone else say that about anything.
Not even the best job. People don't want to retire. They don't want to leave.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it's people like cry when they leave the job.
Well, you know what it is? It's because every day is different.
It is.
Where, like, most jobs you work, it's kind of depending on what position you're in, you're kind of doing the same thing every day.
Mm-hmm.
And even though you're doing the same thing every day at the firehouse, a call comes in, you don't know what you're going to.
You don't know what you're going to. Exactly. You're going to interact with different people. Every fire, even though it's similar, is going to be different. Everything you do on that location is probably going to be a little different. We try to train as best we can. We try to come up with all these what-ifs, and be prepared for them. Like I said last time about the file cabinet in your head, you're pulling files out and saying, I can do this. So when we look at this and we say we go out the door and it's like different every time, it's truly a different experience every time. Similarities, but different. Whether it's a car accident, and my department responded the other day to a fatal car accident on Nichols Road. Car, I think it went head on. I wasn't really sure, but they said it crossed over from one side to the other on Nichols, and a person died. Car flipped over, overturned. So they had to cut people out of both cars, not just one. But you don't know what you're going to go to. You get on that rig and you're like, wow. And it's the same thing when we pull up to these buildings. I was saying how, we take 10 to 15 seconds. We look at a building, kind of do a quick size up. We're like, all right, this is what it looks like. And we go running through the front door. And once we get inside there, what's going to happen? Every house, even though they're similar, the layouts may be different. They may have alterations, like we talked about last week and the Black Sunday fire. But we don't know what we're going to deal with. I've had houses I crawled in the first floor and it was changed into apartments, and it was all rooms on the first floor.
Yep.
I've crawled into houses where there's mattresses in the dining room, living room on the floor. They had 25 people living in the house. Or like that Terryville job I was telling you last week, the beautiful house, huge, and it's cut up into apartments with car parts sometimes inside the building. So you don't know what you're going to deal with. And I'll give you just one other example. Had a fire in Queens, and fire first, second, and into the attic. And the chief said, you got to get up into that attic, which we did. There was a small staircase, and I hear a hissing sound. And I'm like, wow, it sounds like a firefighter's face piece, like dislodged. I'm like, maybe we got a member down. So I crawl over there, and there's a 20-pound propane cylinder with the relief going off in the attic. They had already knocked down the fire. There was still embers, but the propane is just releasing. Oh, and I'm like, holy cow. So I gave a transmission over the air. I said, I got a propane cylinder leaking in the attic. So he's like, bring it down. I try to go back to the stairs, and there's all firefighters there. And, they're like, just give it to us. So I gave it to them, and somebody threw it out the window. And it bounced off the driveway. Thank God nothing happened.
Sheesh.
So they're like, I get questioned about it because I'm the one that said it was a propane cylinder. And they're like, you threw it out the window? I go, that wasn't the intention. I handed it down to the guys on the stairs. Somebody threw it out the window. But you don't know what you're going to come across. Who expects a 20-pound propane cylinder in an attic?
So that reminds me,
Who would throw it?
somebody else around here had a job last week. It was gas fed, and they could not turn the gas off.
The valve off.
I saw that too. Where was that? I don't remember where it was.
I don't remember, but somebody had wrote it in one of the. I think it may have been the FireWire app. Somebody had commented saying like, "Hey,
It
just a
happens.
heads
Yeah,
up,
it
like that
happens.
they tried to turn the utility off.
Right.
It would not.
Did
so
it snap? Did it break? Or did
I'm
it
not
just-
sure the specifics of it, but just another
Right.
thing to kind of
Yeah, absolutely.
keep on top of.
I mean, we had a fire in my town. It was like a horse arena up north, and I guess they were powering up solar panels, or I don't know the whole situation, but there were multiple fires within this thing, and it wound up burning basically down. There was really not much they could do, and our paid firefighters got there really quick, but they had like an underground propane tank, like one of these 1,500 or 2,000 gallon things, and it melted the top. That the propane was burning and leaking for 3 days straight. We had departments coming in from all over Long Island to stand by and watch this thing burn.
I
It was
think
a couple of years ago.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
We were asking everybody, like, can you come by and stand by for 4 hours? Because it got to the point where it was just day after day. They had to let the thing burn out because there was no way they could shut this propane
Right,
tank
right.
down. And the guy had just filled it. So, of course, it was just leaking forever.
All right, so let's talk about drill of the week.
Drill of the week. What do you want to talk about?
I did a good drill over the weekend. We did patient packaging and using the bucket as a high point and doing vertical and horizontal lifts from
So you used the mounts, or did you tie off to the ladder, or how'd you?
So
how'd
we
you do
used
it?
the two D-rings underneath the ladder,
What are they rated for?
500 each.
Okay.
So, I mean, we used a dummy. And this is kind of a two-part drill. This week, or last weekend, was mostly the patient packaging part of it. And then tomorrow we're going to do, like, the main, hoisting and lifting and moving them from, say, a low point to another point.
Nice.
But we tied him up. We put the dummy in the Stokes basket. So he's on a backboard in the Stokes basket. Tied him up. Used webbing. Freaking my terminology of naming these knots and stuff are not great. I
So
know
you haven't taken tech rescue?
I have not taken
courses.
tech rescue now. But,
Tandem prosthetic belay.
yeah, no. But we tied him up good. And we did, when we hoisted him up vertically, did not move an inch. He was just strapped in. It was
Good.
I think it was maybe a 100-pound dummy. It was a light one. It wasn't like one of the 180s. But it was good. So now this week we're going to do where we're actually going to lift it up and then move it from, say, below grade to another point. We actually just pulled up to a random warehouse building that had like some type of wall in their parking lot. They had a wall, and we were able to park the bucket truck up high, drop it down low. We kind of conducted the drill below. Then we had the chauffeur kind of lift us up. So it's a good drill.
Awesome.
Yeah. I like to do stuff like in real time. Like this was like the patient packaging part of it. So kind of like help the new guys like tie it up, learn how to like really get the patient package.
Diamond
in.
lashing the whole bit.
Yeah, everything.
Nice.
And this week, or we may do it next week, I want to actually, stage it and have like the dummy down there and have us pull up in the bucket truck in the same spot and do it like in real time.
Yeah, that's.
I feel like a lot of drills we
That's
do,
great.
and just in general, I feel like a lot of drills I've done are, all right, let's walk through this, let's do this. You're kind of like going through the motions, but I like to do it like, okay, now just go drop the dummy down there, get back on the truck, and let's do this like full circle. So hopefully we can do that next time.
Well, there's nothing wrong with going through the paces slowly, or the instructor going through it to explain it and show them how it's done, and then say, okay, now go do it. Just let them go, and let them only stop them if it's a safety issue. So, like for us tomorrow, we're going to do a training on forcible entry. So we have 2 different forcible entry doors, and we're going to have a metal cutting station. So we're going to give them just a 10, 15 minutes kind of classroom, just overview, split them up into 3 groups, and then rotate them around. So one's going to be inward opening doors, one's going to be outward opening doors, and the other one's going to be metal cutting. So we set up in the back of the firehouse a prop where we slide metal sheets in, and they're going to use the saw both, horizontally and vertically, holding the saw up. We have some rebar, and we have some chain. So they'll use vice grips on the chain and just cut links off the chain, but just going through the paces and letting them go, and then just rotate them around. So the instructor will go over it, he'll demonstrate it, him or her, and then just boom, go to it, and just cycle through each person. So hopefully it works out.
Nice. So
Good stuff.
two good drills for you listeners out there to take into account. Maybe try it out yourselves.
What'd you do? What did the hose handlers do?
Huh?
What's the hose
What did the hose
handlers do?
handlers do?
We just handle hose. That's what we do. No, we have. We talked about it last week. We did the dodgeball thing. And I do different drills with my company. We try to train with the other companies. Rescue, ladder. We also will do a drill with EMS. Just to kind of get our guys acquainted more with the ambulance, and then we'll drill with obviously the other engine companies. And then there's some drills I do where I'll just have one of our guys who's not an officer, like the next guy in line to become an officer. Hey, you're the OIC for this drill, and I'll throw a scenario at them. And I recently also started doing it with some of the newer guys, and just throw them into it just to see where their heads are at.
Sure.
And
Make 'em think.
yeah, because what it comes down to is if they're in a situation where, hey, a little bit of a light crew, for whatever reason people aren't showing up and you're the officer, I want these people to know what options are available to them. So if you are responding to an automatic fire alarm, you're going to go in there and take a look, everything's okay, that's great, but do you know how to reset the fire alarm panel?
Right.
All right? Or if you go there and you got smoke pushing out of a building and you're a new guy that's usually in the back seat waiting for an officer to give them some sort of something to do, and they're sitting there looking at smoke pushing out of a building, well, what are your options? Do you know how to communicate to dispatch? Do you know what to tell them? Are you going to transmit a working fire? You don't know if it's a working fire.
Sure.
Or if there's no chief officer on scene, what are your other options? Well, you can ask for a fire marshal to come to the scene. You could have dispatch send in a mutual aid department. You'll probably get a chief or, at the very least, an officer from somebody else to kind of get there and help you out. So I like to, every now and then, I just call it decision-making on the fire ground. We kind of sit down, throw a scenario at them. How would you handle this? And any of the officers that are there, they're out of play. You can't ask them. But if you're here, this building is burning right now, and you're not completely sure what to do, and you got a light crew with you, what is your next option?
Right.
So we do all those types of drills. The engine company stuff, it's much better to do live fire training, obviously, other than just going pulling hose and pissing water for an hour.
Just pulling hoses around in the parking lot.
Yeah. So we usually
We're training today.
we
Pull
try
that
to
way from point A to point B.
Listen, there's a method to it.
It is. I mean, that's
you have to be able to do it properly.
right, and that's
quickly.
the thing. Yeah.
Getting water on the fire makes all the other problems go away. So the better we get at that, you don't want to pack your hose wrong that it doesn't come out either, because that's a problem.
Right.
So
Yeah. No.
you
100%.
You got to be prepared.
All right.
It's just so easy to make fun of.
What?
It's just easy to make fun of.
What?
Just anything engine.
Anything? Well, the truck guys, firemen's helpers, bucket fairies,
Wow.
lawn shepherds.
Wow.
Oh, the list could go on.
But you will realize that water is the most important thing at any of these fires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody loves to go in and break doors down and pull ceilings and stuff, but in the end of the day, the water has to get on the fire. And when the water gets on the fire quickly, the smoke gets less, the fire gets less, and we can do more work or save people's lives.
Right.
But another good program too, which is now part of the Fire Officer 1 program, is that strategy and tactics class. And I think we should do more. One thing about the volleys compared to career and positionals, positions, on a regular basis, we don't know who we're getting. We talked about that in the past as well. Like, not only getting the rig on the road, but do we have the right people in the right seats? And it's not always going to be that way. And people are quick to be, I want to be in that right front seat. I want to be in that right front seat, or I want to be a chauffeur. But there's a lot of responsibility in that front seat. It's not just blowing sirens and, getting to the scene. You have the responsibility of every person on that apparatus. So the 2-year guy, 3-year guy, 5-year guy, even if you're not going to be an officer, I don't want to be an officer, you still have a tremendous amount of responsibility sitting up there.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to make good decisions. So training people or building our bench up from below, people that can take our positions down the line, is so important. And we need to get them thinking differently, because we don't know who's going to be on that rig and who's going to be in that front seat. I went to a fire once with a guy who wasn't an officer. He's up front. We pull up, it's a job, I'm driving. And he's like, oh, I lost my glove. I don't know where my face piece is. Like, he's fumbling around because he didn't want to be that guy, because he's in the front seat. He goes, you know what, I'll get the hydrant. And he just gets out of the rig and runs. So the guys in the back are like, where the hell did he go? And they're like, he's missing his glove and his face piece, it seems. You're in charge now. Let's go.
Yeah,
and we made it happen. But that should never happen. You should not be jumping in that front seat just because you're the lowest badge or just because you're the guy. You have to know what your responsibility is. You can't just sit up there. Be cautious. And I think one of you mentioned about putting somebody in the front seat just as a spotter to respond. Did you mention that? Or somebody else was telling me that recently? Yeah. So they allow like a probie to sit up front as a spotter for the chauffeur, but not be an actual officer. I'm like, why are we responding? But
yeah,
it does make sense. Somebody should also always be with the chauffeur.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because to navigate the streets and everything else. But we got to build up our bench from below and have people properly trained. The strategy and tactics class does that. It talks about size up and responsibility of the officer making sound decisions, because you don't know when that might be that you're that guy in charge.
Right.
I think I mentioned it on the podcast. There was a fire right after I got out as chief. I became the safety officer. I went right to the scene. And the incident commander for that fire was a brand new second lieutenant. And he was just like, I'm like, all right, this is what's going on. And he's like, just please help me.
Yeah.
And I gave him a lot of credit for saying that. And I stood there for a little bit with him, gave him a little overview until somebody else could assist him. And then I wound up inside the building.
That's how I was as an officer. If I had an ex-chief or something like that, especially when I was a brand new officer, hey, you do me a favor, could you sit with me and just kind of be another set of eyes and ears for me? And
absolutely.
Yeah, so let's get into our last sponsor here, Multipurpose Webbing. Multipurpose Webbing is a firefighter-owned business dedicated to creating products that facilitate fireground efficiency. The MPW Personal Carry is a webbing system designed for simpler firefighter and civilian removal. The MPW can be separated to allow for search, haul, and utility function. The rated system comes complete with dual-action palm-activated carabiner, mil-spec webbing, and carry case. Our glove clamp is by far the best solution for out-of-pocket glove carry. Never lose a glove again. Use discount code VHP15 for 15% off site-wide. It's Multipurpose Webbing.
Good stuff.
Yep.
Good stuff.
I want, after seeing this, I want one of these.
Yeah,
why not?
No, absolutely.
Like we said, last time, 22 feet of webbing in an accordion. Yeah. So you just pull it out and you're ready to go.
Like I said, I got like 15 feet of rope tied up in my bunker pants, and it takes up just as much room as that, and it's definitely less useful.
So do you want to touch on pride and professionalism here? Because I'm running tight on time right now. I feel my phone buzzing like crazy.
Where are you?
And it's because we had 2 hours of trying to figure out technical difficulty, but we will come back, I guess,
Tyler,
soon.
You're going to get married.
Don't say it.
You're going to get married, so get used to it.
Oh, I know. I know. So, pride and professionalism.
Yes, sir.
Have pride and be professional.
Listen, see you later.
No,
see you next week.
Listen, we should have pride in our firehouse, our companies, our organization, department as a whole. Take pride in it. Not everybody gets to experience what we get to experience. Not everybody gets to see the good side of what we do. Okay, we help people in some of the worst scenarios, worst case scenarios. We're there to help them, but it all comes from the heart of why we do this profession and why we do it. And just because you're a volunteer and you're not getting a paycheck, or some of us low SAP down the line, this can still be a professional organization. You can be a fully volunteer service and be professional at what you do. But professionalism comes with attitude, it comes with pride, and it comes with being very well trained and educated. That's what makes us go. And there's a lot of different things you can do to make that happen. But like I said, it's an extended family. Some people say, oh, you shouldn't say family because we're not really a family. We're coworkers and this and that. No, we are some sort of extended family. And maybe I'm not going to go to your wedding or, to your birthday party, but a lot of my friends are centered around the volunteer and career fire department. These are the people I associate with on a regular basis. Even when I go down to Florida, I go to the retirees group. We hang out sometimes and have a good time. So it's going to follow you wherever you go. There's people that have left my volunteer organization, and I still stay in touch with them. They've moved out of state, and they still have a connection, or they see us posting stuff, and they're like, I was part of that place, because they had that pride. They realize, even though they left, that they still love what we did here.
Absolutely.
And there are many people that have come through, not even in my department, even in other departments, that have been trained by some of us and have left to go on to career departments elsewhere in the Carolinas, Pennsylvania, and other places. And they still say, the way you and Joey D taught me back in the day has made me what I am today. And I always, I appreciate it. I'm not the best thing since sliced bread. I'm still learning every day. But, it's that attitude, it's that pride, and that's gets back to that professionalism. Mm-hmm. They are now serious professionals in their career departments, and they're teaching other people things that they learned here as volleys. And like I said last time, there's a lot of places the volunteer system is the stepstone to the career. You start as a volley, you work your way up, get all your training, and you move on. Mm-hmm. So training, education, we say it all the time, but just learning every day, and there's a lot of magazines and stuff, and I have a couple here, Firehouse, the Fire Department Training Network, which runs trainings programs everywhere, fire engineering.
This guy's a real buff.
What's that? I'm super buff. I'm a super buff, all my magazines. Now Crackle, I met the owner, the founder and owner of this, the Crackle magazine. He's a Canadian, but I met him at the Leary Foundation, their firefighter day. But a lot of great information. They're even sharing stuff on mental and physical health and stuff, which is really good. And that's a whole avenue I want to talk about with you guys. Mm-hmm. Recently, my department, it was either this week or last week, responded to a 15-year-old child that committed suicide. And there's many firefighters and police officers that commit suicide. And we need to try to circumvent that somehow. We're here for each other.
Absolutely.
We're brothers, we're sisters, we're family. If you have a problem, reach out. You can reach out to me personally on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. You have a bad night or whatever. You want to talk to me, I'll talk to you. I don't care. I will get up in the middle of the night, come get you if I have to. We need to take care of each other. But with that comes that pride and professionalism. Mm-hmm. Another thing out there, and I haven't fully read this book yet, but this is a fire engineering book done by Tom Merrill. And it's the Professional Volunteer Fire Department, and this isn't a sponsor or anything. None of these are sponsors for us. Maybe down the line, who knows? But this touches on some amazing areas, things, some of the stuff we do, some of the stuff we don't do, but it relates things in his department and other places of how to make yourself or your organization a professional organization. So I would recommend it, peruse through it, but there's a lot of things in here, talking about response and alcohol and, T-shirts and all the stupid things that sometimes we do and some of the stupid antics that get us suspended. But social media, it gets into little everyday things that we do and not being idiots and looking bad in the public's eye. Right. The guy pissing on a fire and stuff like that. It's all bad stuff. It looks bad for us.
Right.
So how do you create the professional image as a volunteer fire organization. So this is one of them. But this is Snyder Fire Department in Amherst, New York. Tom Merrill wrote this book. So a lot of good information, and I give him a shout out for it. But we can all learn from each other. I say it: get out of your zip code, get out of your state, go to some of these conferences, start reading magazines, and learn something every day, and make yourself a better firefighter. Have pride in your organization. Take care of your firehouse. Don't walk past problems that you can take care of.
Right.
If there's garbage on the floor, pick it up. I'll say this over and over again. You see that the hose isn't packed right in the rig. Take 5 minutes and do it. Like you were talking about on the couch. You had a chief or an officer or somebody to come in and say, come on, let's drill.
Yep.
And I'm not saying you have to do that every single time, but if you're going to go down to the firehouse, hang out on the couch, take pride in the organization, you see something, take care of it, do it before you lay on the couch.
Right.
Or take the time out and do it.
I think pride, and I spoke about this in the last episode, and I'm sure all of us at different points in our life, you're not as available as you
Absolutely.
wish you could be. Like me, I'm about to turn 28. It's kind of like a transitional point in my life where I live with my fiance. We're gonna buy a house. There's just a lot of things.
So you're moving out of the district?
Life's in the way. Yeah, right. But I think pride's super important, especially as an officer, because I feel like this morning I had an arch detail, and I knew I had to do this, and I knew I couldn't spend all my time there. So I had another chauffeur. I found another chauffeur from the company, and we had a full crew. Everyone went. 2 of the chiefs went down there, and I could have been like, all right, it's covered. I can go do, I can sleep in, go, do my podcast. But I felt like me being there, I take a lot of pride in the company. I think me being there, even though I was only there for maybe like 30, 45 minutes, we had bagels before, so I was hanging out with the guys at the firehouse. But I think the pride aspect of it is so important, especially on like a company morale level. Because I didn't have to be there this morning. I put my gloves on.
You did. You're the captain.
But that's why I did it. That's exactly why I did it.
Yeah.
I put my gloves on, but I didn't touch a rope. I didn't hoist a ladder up. The chauffeur was driving. But I have a lot of pride in my company. So that's why, I showed up and I was there. Was I the most help? No, but there was 2 young guys there that they knew that their captain was there. So that's why I did it.
No, it's huge.
Showing your face is huge.
Yeah.
So
All right. Well, let's wrap this up before I
die.
Yep, before I die. And
You're
we'll
doing fine.
Yeah, we'll hopefully next episode we will have all our issues figured
Our
out.
IT working?
Yeah.
What's that?
Our IT
Our
guy. We're
IT.
going to have to get
Yeah.
a new IT guy.
I think we're
Yep.
good on the audio. So
Yep.
audio's good.
All right. Well,
And we got to thank our helper here, too.
Yeah.
thank you,
Kyle Cook.
Kyle Cook.
Kyle, thank you.
Appreciate it, because this episode probably would not have happened if you weren't here.
Yeah. 100%.
So much appreciated,
Thank
and
you.
we'll catch you guys next week.
Sounds good.
Excellent.
All right.
See you then.